Wholeness, beautiful beings. Welcome to my channel. I am Rasheedah Silvertree, and this is the last energy reading for the season of the element of air, the element of the wind. Okay, the wind element, and I am working with animal medicines and spirit animal medicines, and so my animal that I work with, my guide, is usually the white wolf, and so that's my personal guide during this season of air. And so this is the 77th video I have made on this channel, energy readings. And I'm also very in tune with numerology. So 7 plus 7 is 14, 1 and 4 is 5, and 5 is it's a chaotic number. 5 represents the pentagram. It represents the human. It represents all of the elements, the alchemy of man and womb man, and it is movement. Okay, and so it's very symbolic since we're moving right into the season of water. And water, as we know, it is very fluid. It moves, okay? You can look at a lake, but the water's still moving, okay? You can look at a puddle or anything, and it's still moving, okay? And so with that, this is the closure of that air season, and let's get started with the reading. Okay, here we go. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, okay, and 9 is also symbolic of the end of something, an end of a cycle, the beginning of the end and the end of the beginning. Okay. So we have 9 energies. We have 2 energies facing upright. We have 4 energies facing down, and we have 1, 2, 3 energies on their side. So for the energies facing upright, this is so symbolic. So we have a cup, all right? That is very much the symbol of water there. We have a cup, and then at the very center, we also have an herb. We have growth. All right. We have growth. So I'm seeing emotional growth at this time. Emotional growth, energy in motion. Okay. Emotional growth, and this is almost like a preceptor for, the water season, which begins in July. For the energies that are facing upright, I always say the unseen rules the scene. So there's unseen energies that rule the scene here. Okay. Again, we have the broken arrow that showed up in the last reading, and that 3 energy, that energy. I'm seeing strength this time. I'm seeing strength to some of you. You've made your decision and you're standing firm in it, no matter the opposition. Okay. And then next we have this energy on its side. Again, broken cycle, new path. I see a splitting of some kind, but I also see wholeness. Okay, and it takes a lot of strength to walk on your own path. It takes a lot of strength to be committed to you. A lot of the time we overcommit ourselves. We overcommit ourselves to relationships, to careers, to friendships, to belief systems, paradigms, materialism, or even spiritualism. At that point, we can overcommit ourselves, and that creates imbalance, and then we begin to neglect our path. We begin to neglect our purpose. We begin to neglect presence. So when you recommit yourself to your path, you recommit yourself to the present, to the now, and what's best for you. Again, I mentioned in the last video about self-service, serving the self, okay? Serving the body, serving, you know, the mind, serving, serving the mind, serving the heart, serving your interests, okay? It's almost like you're feeding yourself, feeding your human experience. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? All right, and our next energy that's on its side here. Ha ha ha. Oh wow. Okay, so we have the dominant rune for the deer energy. Okay, now that's the medicine, animal medicine I work with during the season of water. And so this is symbolic because if you flip it on its side, that is the crown, that is the antlers, which to me represents royalty. And then moving it to the side, it represents movement. You have energy, energy moving in one direction, a solid direction. So all decisions and all things are coming to a close that will, all choices made this season will move you forward, okay? It will propel you and move you. It's almost like I see a river. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a strong, beautiful river moving in one direction. Okay, so this is not the time to be in the space of resistance. I think if anything, resistance needs to be played, because there's a place for everything. There's a place and space for everything. And I believe when you're in the season of Earth, okay, that's usually in between, well, that's January, February, and March. That's when you really need to stand your ground per se. But this is, if anything, if you've made the decisions you've made in the past have brought you to a certain space, a certain frequency in your of your consciousness and in your spirit. So that being said, if there is any resentment or resistance to the things that you have chosen or the bed that you've made, now's the time. You just got to be in flow, because it will be incredibly painful to go against what's already in motion. Okay, it's going to suck out a lot of your energy if you're resisting in this at this point. In the upcoming few days after you read or you listen to this reading. Okay. Now let's take a look at the energies here that are facing downwards. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 4 is stability. And you know, sometimes you have those rocks, you know, in the middle of the river that stand the test of time, and they're sturdy, okay? And that's what you need to be in certain circumstances, okay? So here we go. All right, so we have new moon energy, okay? Be aware of that. Of setting intentions. I'm already getting that this is like almost like things are set in stone. That's what I'm getting. Like decisions have been made, contracts have ended. I'm getting an ending right here. I'm also getting, this is the star. This is the butterfly energy too, if you can see that. I'm getting like you're being guided in this decision, this ending, this closure. Also patience. Oh man. Some of us, we struggle with patience, okay? We struggle with patience. There's a difference between patience and waiting. Waiting, you're wasting time. Patience, you are preparing, okay? And I will say, in the season of the wind, you want to always be prepared, not just financially prepared, not just materialistically prepared, spiritually prepared. And that takes time, that takes dedication. As you can see, there's a ladder here. And the most dangerous thing when climbing a ladder is trying to skip over that next peg. You have to take your time and you know, touch and climb each peg that's there. Otherwise you'll misstep, you'll slip and fall. So there's that. And then last but not least, again, we have the serpent's eye, and that showed up last time. The serpent season begins in October. The deer season, or I'm sorry, the fire the season of fire begins in October, and the season of water ends in September. Okay, so there's something for me. I don't know. There's something that's telling me, excuse me, that you need to watch, keep an eye out, especially in October. If the serpent's eye is coming up at the very end of the wind season, I'm getting that there's some kind of transitional something you need to pay attention to and observe, because this is the serpent's eye. This is the eye, so I'm hearing eye of Horus for some reason for some of you, but pay attention between September, October, okay, like late September, early October. That's what I'm getting. All right, so that's what I'm having. That's what's coming up in this reading. So I'm also getting emotional fulfillment. Okay. July, August, September, July and August, September. So in the season of water, there's a lot of clarity. With each element in alchemy, it can be used to create or destroy. Okay? As beings having a human experience on this planet and on this earth, we can see the benefits of fire. We can see the benefits of wind. We can see the benefits of water. We can see the benefits of earth. On a destructive, for each element, as far as destruction goes, earth, we have earthquakes. Water, we have floods or lack thereof, droughts. Wind, we have tornadoes. Right? And also wind can be symbolic for technology as well. So we have a lot of new 5G towers that have gone up. So it can be, that fake synthetic web of energy that causes a lot of issues. With fire, we have forest fires or lack thereof. We don't have warmth, right? So it's just to understand that there's always, as an alchemist, you must understand that to become a master of it, you study the creative forces of an element, and you study the destructive forces of an element, and you know what and how to use them in the right spaces and places. Because when you try to create with an element, okay, let's say with water, in a time where you need to draw back, like for example, there's too much emotion, you need to draw back some of that water energy. Or if there is lack of emotion, there's lack of intimacy, you need to nourish, you need to express your emotions, right? So it's be sure that there's balance when emptying and filling your cup, and be cautious of where you're pouring it. Be cautious of where you're pouring your cup. Be cautious of what is being emptied into your cup. All right. Okay. I'm going to just flip all of these over again so we can just get a good overall look here. Yeah, so some of us may need emotional closure. And I'm also seeing that just trust and faith. Anytime I see this in the center, is trust and faith in source, okay, in spirit, and guidance, and intuition. And I'm seeing that the plant is literally pointing directly to this energy, okay? And sometimes, yes, you do have to separate yourself to realize your path. Separate yourself, yes. I'm hearing formidable strength inside. So some of you, you might need to tune into that strength at this time when you choose to read this, or to listen to this energy reading. There's a formidable strength inside that's untapped, that's on reserves. And I'm not saying like, you neglect all other elements when you're in a season of your choosing, because for me, I choose to read energies based off of the placement of my entry into this realm, okay, my arrival date. And so I know the highs and lows of the seasons for me. And so sometimes when you're in certain seasons and cycles, you're studying your patterns, you need to be aware that, for example, as an alchemist, if you have a very strong wind energy, meaning you're very clear in your thought processes, you analyze the situation, you're more left brain, you're super rational and logical, you might need to work on balancing that with water, okay? Making sure that you're also emotional and healthy and expressing your emotions in a healthy way, because sometimes the mind, the ego can kind of like kidnap, or the ego can kidnap the mind and kidnap the heart, and it becomes very imbalanced. Or for those of you who have your dominant element is fire, okay? There's a lot of passion in you. There's a lot, like when you're around people, you set them on fire, meaning like you set up the room, you people gravitate towards you, you exude warmth and laughter, and people just feel at home around you. But at the same time, like, as far as like for example, your earth energy can be kind of unstable, right? Meaning that you're not really making stable decisions in your life regarding your finances, or regarding long-term plans and stuff like that. So in this reading, I'm just seeing, this is kind of what's coming up. This is not it's not too heavy. It's pretty, it's confirming of the cycle switch. But at this moment, I just feel like sharing how important it is to recognize and study your own alchemy, so you know which areas that you can bring in other elements that can help balance out that area, that dominant one that's too dominant and too overpowering. And so, yeah, that can be quite, it can be quite daunting sometimes. There are people who have a very strong earth element. And listen, I'm not really basing this off of astrology. The astrological, Western astrology and the Vedic astrology, it serves a purpose, yes. And just like what I'm doing here, this is my own authentic blueprint, energy blueprint. But Western astrology, Vedic astrology, they're both an energy blueprint. Numerology is an energy blueprint. Reiki is an energy blueprint. And I've just decided to create my own, okay, and to share that with you. I don't denounce astrology because there is truth in it. I, for one, believe that the planets are within you. They're in you. Okay, we're not victims of things that float around our planet and outside of us. We are all part of it, and it is part of us. And so don't say, for example, with Mercury retrograde, people completely oh, it's Mercury retrograde, that's why he's not talking to me. Or, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, this is why, you know, my ex or my ex best friend is reaching out to me, and or this is why I'm arguing all the time. No, you're arguing all the time because one of your elements is off due to the fact that the Mercury has shifted, and thus it influences a lot of our elements as alchemists. I'm speaking on a more alchemical space than just based off of the alignment of the planets. Okay, there's just a lot of influence on that I'm seeing, you know, online, that and even in like, you know, not even pop culture, but in the mainstream now, it's become widely accepted, which is a good thing to a certain extent. But knowing and learning your own imbalances and learning your own seasons and learning your own cycles will help you predict your own events that take place in your life. And even with that, there's always the pure potentiality that things happen, but you can predict on how to handle them the best way you know how, by strengthening your core, right? Strengthening the core elements within your consciousness. You know, really like studying what is wind, what is fire, what is earth, what is ether, what is water. You know, what are all of these attributes of my consciousness? How does it show up in my life? And so entering into the season of water, where there's a lot of movement and clarity, like with water can be incredibly healing. It's a purifier. It's the first mirror, okay? Before glass and mirrors, because mirrors are made with sand and stone, right? And so, even before that, we used water, the reflection of water. And so it's a very, very powerful element, and no element is more powerful than the other, okay? And then you have the sub-elements, which is the wood element. You have, you have electricity or lightning. You have the metals like silver, gold. You have other sub-elements, but the main ones that's what I like to focus in on right now. So with that, during the months of July, August, September, just be mindful of that. As alchemists, like, it's okay to take one element and study it, and study the relationship it has with all the other elements. Like for me, I would take the water element and I'd say, okay, what's the water element's relationship with my wind element? What's the water element's relationship with my earth element and my fire element? Because when you begin to study that, then you'll begin to understand and understand and overstand the relationship with other people. And you'll be able to pinpoint their alchemy in ways that makes a lot of sense. And there are already systems out there. In Ayurvedic, they have the Pitta, Vata, Kapha, right? And that primarily focuses in on the physiology of the body and your, how that affects, your diet and all that other stuff. And we all have those. The Kapha is earth, Vata is wind, and Pitta is fire. And when one of those is imbalanced, or one of those dominates the other aspects or types, then there's instability, and then there's issues and health issues and whatnot. But just when you begin to study your own relationship with you will then begin to understand and hold more compassion and forgiveness and gratitude to the energies that relate to you on a daily basis. So this is all to, I'm a huge advocate for self-mastery and self-study, okay? And because that's what's closest to God, and that is of God. And so, moving into the natural world, I just feel like, studying the elements, studying animal medicine, studying numerology, and, the blend of Sufism and whatnot on my channel will unfold. I'm allowing it to unfold into just, over time. I'm working on several different projects that will help clarify a lot of my interests on my channel. So with that, please take this message as, the emotional fulfillment, but emotional growth. There's some kind of growth that will take place for sure. And just go with the flow of the river. Don't be in resistance of the river, of the flow of the current. Allow the current to take you. You've done all that you needed to do. You've done all the heavy paddling. Now be in flow and allow the womb to carry you. Allow source to carry you down that river. Okay? You don't need to. That's another thing with water element, is like you don't need to think so hard. It's more of feeling. It's more of letting go and just waiting in the water. And so with that, I will leave you with that message. Thank you so much. Remember to expand your consciousness, embrace supreme loving guidance, and evolve your human being. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.